Hello and welcome to the All Around Natural Beauty IN channel, where I'm passionate about helping victims of all ages and all genders overcome the fear of facing the abuse to become survivors. Over here, we don't do moments of silence, we do moments of speaking, where we speak out the names of the victims, the American people, and we speak out the names of the abusers, these Democrats. And we stand over here for truth, justice, in the American way. Anyway, I'm just excited to be here tonight where we are. I wasn't expected to that to say it. It just really flows. Truth, justice, in the American way. To be promoting our, hope here to really do something to do something to get the country back, to save the people, to save ourselves and stuff. Like the stuff that's happening right now, we need to, you know, really wake up and get out of this whole matrix where the world is backwards. Like, I mean, for those of you who don't know me, I'm a proud Gen Xer. So I'm 52 years old. I'm 52. I've been here for a while. I was here before this whole internet when the truth was the truth, when an XY chromosome equaled an XY chromosome, right? Male and female. And now they're having all kinds of stuff. Like there's it's insane. It's insane. And I mean, if you want to get scriptural, it's in there. Like, can you believe we're in these times and stuff where, the stench of this whole immorality and this whole everything that's happening right now, come on, y'all. Come on. This is ridiculous. 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 And for people to sit by silently and continue to support abuse. That's why I say over here we don't do moments of silence. We speak out the names because one thing is that people, not people, but victims tend to carry the secret when people are abused, especially in families and stuff like that. And they keep the secret and people support the abusers. So we Americans, we've been over here getting abused, and they're doing things out in the world and making it seem like everything's out over here free and can do all kind of stuff. When they do things like silence our voices and stuff, we kind of recognize that when we saw how they shadow ban people's channels and stuff to try to make it seem like it's not as big as it really is. President Trump was right. They did do wicked stuff and cheated in those elections. And we can see how, like, the devil, the wickedness has run rampant to where people are looting, stores and stuff. Like it's like for the, if you ever seen the movie Back to the Future, I want to say it's part 2. I think it was like 3 parts to it. Anyway, was it Michael J. Fox played he played the kid in there, went back in time. Anyway, in part 2, Biff is like the bad guy, gets this thing and goes back in time and changes stuff. So when they go back to time, it's this new reality, and that's what it's like now. Like this is horrible, 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 horrible. I mean, it's unimaginable. It's unimaginable that delusional thinking has run so rampant to where there's no justice. They're like playing all this smoke and mirror stuff to where people are trying to make it seem like right is wrong and wrong is right. And it's it's unbelievable. 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 So I want to hey, thank you so much, D Sky. Go ahead and please click the like button on your way in here, because this is something that we need to talk about, like to where when something happens bad, that people, and I know it stems from abuse when they keep it in the family. Like, you know, everyone has some traumas and stuff in their families. And instead of being able to speak the abuse that was rendered to you, you are forced to keep the secret. And as long as you're keeping the secret, the abuse cycle continues. So it's like we Americans over here just being brutalized, victimized, right? And it looks like out in the world, we're just, you know, rich country and all that stuff. Yet crime is on a rampage. People are just walking off into, you know, stores and looting and then getting on the internet, and they're allowing this type of, this is crazy. Crazy. I mean, like, you know, but a good thing about being a Gen Xer, like I said, I was here before the internet, before all, you know what I mean? So it's like we could point out the truths. But guess what? When they do this smoke and mirror stuff, it's hard for people to identify the truth. It's hard for people to identify the truth. So I want to start with this one quick short here. And first, maybe thank you y'all for these greetings and stuff like that. I appreciate. What's up, Andrew? Says greetings up in here, and see. Oh man, the Honey RN will definitely have to suggest some prescriptions for Biden's major China ball malfunction. Got jokes. Yes. So I'm appreciative to all of this stuff, but here we keeping it real. Like I said, over here, we don't do delusional thinking. So it's about math and science and truth, which is math and science. 1 + 1 is always going to equal 2, you know. So here we go. All right. This is kind of stuff that the Democrats are allowing, right? This is we saw with how the Biden administration, what they doing with our children and stuff, right? They got transgenders up in there twerking in front of toddlers, and these books in the schools, right? So here is a little town meeting here, right? A pastor slams woke school board for educational material. And I really don't like that they use this term woke, because you got to be asleep to buy into this stuff. To buy into that, listen to what he's getting ready to read out here.
Suck any good lately. What's wrong, Navarro? I think you like a big in your mouth. Ha ha ha. Page 23. The other boy, page 23.
And that's, look at here, these white parents there. These white parents there. And here's the black man standing up here for these white people. Just to show y'all, if there's strength in numbers, right? So they want us to keep believing that there's these lines and divisions. All right, listen.
Oh, here it is. What's the educational benefit of talking about the? What's the educational benefit of talking about that? Is that going to help someone on the SAT score? Hear me, kind. Get a shot at that. She can care less.
Wow. Look at here. These are the school officials taunting the parents because they don't want this crap being read to their children. Look at them. These are the officials. She got a smirk on her face. She's taunting them with a sign. Watch this.
Sign. She needs to put down her sign. Oh, you're putting me out. For what? For asking you to abide by the rules. A board member held up a sign, but the audience couldn't hold up signs. This is tyranny, and we're dealing with a corrupt government system.
Wow. 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 Now, look there, a whole big auditorium full of parents that don't agree with what this little panel of people are saying. Will you fight for the children at least? So, we are in a state of emergency. So, and we don't have time to be divided. There's strength in numbers. Everyone is being tortured. Everyone is suffering. Did y'all see that? The whole auditorium was full of white people. Aside from the pastor, I didn't see. Let me just play it, but pull it up again real quick. I need you. Okay, here we go. All right.
Suck any good.
All right. I'm going to, he says, hello, Navarro. Suck any good. And I'm sure it's some,
What's wrong, Navarro? I think you like a big in your mouth. Ha, ha, ha. Page 23.
Anyway, there's some vulgar language and all this stuff. What I want y'all to look at is look at the auditorium. Look who's in there. White Americans in there, right? Getting tortured, being treated poorly by a little small panel of
the other boy
that they deem the book that he's reading to a room full of adults is inappropriate. Yet it's in the schools. Look at there. White people. White people.
Here it is. What's the educational benefit of talking about what's the educational benefit of talking about that? Is that going to help someone on the SAT score? Hear me kind. Get a shot at that. She can care less.
Right? So these are the people that support the molesters in your family. Your grandma who knew her son was molesting all of the little girls in the neighborhood that didn't say anything, that protected him and all that stuff. That's them up here, right? We see the president's behavior. So it's no wonder that these are the kind of things that's taking place right now.
You can trust in me.
Hello, Navarro. Suck any good.
All right. Anyway, I just wanted y'all to see the people that were in the auditorium, that they were white people. So we're not getting confused or staying trapped with feeling about there's getting caught up in racism. Like, that's the little trick, y'all. Wait, if you could just get past that, how far could we get? This is how you're being manipulated. There's strength in numbers. It's only a very few people that's controlling the strings. Cut the strings off. Good heavens. Good heavens. So, all right. So I just want to play some stuff because I believe that if we unite together to get someone in there that's going to speak, that wants to help the people, that wants to speak for the people, give us our lives back, wait a minute. So we're going to be breaking down the speech here. And for the record, I'd like to say that, when people come up and say the things like I play videos and stuff, these videos are speaking for themselves. I'm not putting any words in President Biden's mouth. I'm not putting any words or actions in President Trump's mouth. Their actions are speaking. Yet people throwing these accusations, they're just trigger words. If you could logically think about it and get out of your emotions, we gotta, all right. So anyway, there's strength in numbers. And they know that. That's why they keep us divided. This is a tactic. A tactic. All right. So this here is just some of what Trump will do as the 47th president. All right. So let's sit back and listen.
So here is just some of what we will do as the 47th president of the United States. And we're all doing this together. We're all doing this as a group. I totally
USA.
Obliterate. We started it very strongly, got rid of a lot of bad ones in Washington, real bad ones. But, they come back at you, all sorts of things with the fake Mueller report. By the way, no collusion at the end of 2.5 years with Russia. It was so interesting, during the campaign. They started this earlier than my win, but we were doing well. And young staffers would come up to, sir, it's so great to meet you, sir. And I said, nice to meet you. What's going on? Sir, do you have anything to do with Russia? I said, that's a strange question. No, I don't know anything about it. The hell do I know about Russia? We got enough problems. And then 2 months later, another young man came up to me. Hello, sir, it's an honor. Sir, anything you are doing with Russia that maybe we should know about, sir? I said, no, I don't know what you mean. And this happened 4 or 5 times. After about the 5th time, I said, there's something strange going on with Russia. And that was it. And then when she lost, they used that as an excuse for her loss because they were very embarrassed. It was, they say, the biggest upset. I didn't think it was. I did a speech in Michigan. I had 38,000 people there the day before. And she did a speech, and she had like almost nobody. She had like 100 people. So I don't know why it's an upset, but they called it an upset.
Now, keep track of these numbers and stuff, right? Because this lets you know that the 2020 elections had to have been rigged. Otherwise, how do you have so much support, then all of a sudden on the day of the election, the other person gets all these votes, right? This is why he protested and said what he said and, demanded justice for this. So, like I said, we're about getting justice. This was wrong. He was robbed of the 2020. And that's for this whole reason. It's just like Biff getting the almanac and taking it back to 1950, whatever it was, 58, and giving it to him, his younger self. So anyway, y'all got to watch that movie. It's called Back to the Future. I think it was in 1990. No, 86. I think it was the 80s. Anyway, it was one of those. It was, had to be late 80s, early 90s somewhere. Back to the Future, Michael J. Fox. Anyway, it's a great one. Part 2. When that whole thing is what I feel, I kind of put that together like that. That's how I look at it. Yeah, because this is crazy. Crazy.
But they used the Russia You know, Russia.
Mm.
They use that, the fake media used that as a way of justifying her defeat. They used it. And it was supposed to be a one-day story, but it turned out to last for 2.5 years, you know, because it caught on. It caught on, unbelievably caught on. And then Mueller did the report, 18 angry Democrats. There were sick, angry Democrats. And I think I had an angel in the room because they came up and they said, I did nothing, but they would have written whatever they would have written. They're very dishonest people. Look at the J6 committee. Think of it. I mean, take a look at the committee. If you look at this committee, they just put out a report. Think of it. Nobody has ever seen anything like it. And the report, they've just deleted all evidence. So if you are on trial, if anybody's on trial, you have no evidence whatsoever.
Wow.
These are political thugs. These are political thugs. These are bad people.
Yes.
And we'll see what happens, because I think it's a disgrace. So what's happened to a lot of people, it shouldn't be allowed to happen. You could take a look at Portland. You take a
That's exactly what happened with Shanquilla Robinson. The FBI said it's not, it's not enough. It's not enough evidence to, it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. President Trump is about getting us justice, getting this kind of baloney stuff out.
look at Minneapolis. You take a look at Seattle, where they practically took over half of the city, a big part of the city. People were killed.
Hey.
And nothing happens to them, but they went after some people, and it's been very unfair, very two tiers of justice.
Yeah.
So it's been a very interesting period, but we have to protect our people. We have to protect all of our people, and we have to protect everybody, both sides. But what's happened in this country is very sad.
Yes.
I will totally obliterate the deep state, stop the weaponization of our government.
All right. And did y'all hear that? Like, there's some other videos that we'll have to play to get on one accord with this deep state and all that stuff. But listen to what he said. This is super, super, super important. We'll go back to this 2 seconds.
Of our government, and overhaul the corrupt FBI and DOJ. We're going to fix the DOJ. The DOJ is corrupt.
Yeah.
The FBI is corrupt.
Yep.
Before I even arrived at the Oval Office.
And I know that because it's going on a year for this whole Shanquilla Robinson, and I, was focused a lot on that, and I saw how the FBI and the president they did nothing for it. They just let it go and gave fake stories to, like, go around the death certificate. It's crazy, but this is what he's talking about here. The corrupt FBI and DOJ.
Office, I will shortly, and right after we win, I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled. Many people are dying. I did a town hall for CNN, and I did so good that they fired the head of CNN. I love that. They got the highest ratings in 11 years, and they fired the head. You're supposed to be the opposite. They're supposed to say, congratulations, but they fired him. But we talked about all of these things at that town hall. It was actually good. Caitlin Collins, I think she ruined her. Caitlin Collins, right? I think she ruined her career that night. That was not a great night for CNN, but they did get good ratings. That's the good news. But I'm able to say very strongly that I'm the only candidate who can make a promise that's a very important promise, the most important promise that we can have. I will prevent World War III. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
That's what I'm saying. Woo!
And to stop the Marxist prosecutors who release rapists and murderers while persecuting Republicans, conservatives, and people of faith, I will direct a completely overhauled DOJ to investigate every radical DA and AG in America for their illegal, racist, in reverse enforcement of the law. As we restore the border, I will also use Title 42 to end the child trafficking crisis by returning all trafficked children.
Wow. Wow. Who else is saying something? Who else is saying anything?
to their families in their home and the countries from which they come. On day one, I will repeal Joe Biden's insane electric vehicle
Thank you.
mandate. Now think of it. Think of it. Number one, I told you before, they're made all in China, all going to be made in China and other countries, none here. The United Auto Workers auto-endorsed Trump very quickly. You know, for years and decades, they just automatically endorse a Democrat. But we've lost 50% of our automaking over the number of decades. Goes to Mexico, goes to China. Mexico, unbelievable. A lot of it goes to Canada.
Wow.
The USMCA has been unbelievable what we did with that, but a lot of it goes to Canada. What they've done is so bad. But now they want to do electric tanks.
Yeah.
So we have our big Sherman tanks running in. They want to make them electric so they can be friendly, environmentally friendly, as you go in and blast the hell out of a community that they want to blast.
This is insane. That's crazy.
So, but it's done in an environmentally friendly way. Now think of it. Now, the only problem is the tank can't go very far. It doesn't have the kind of power they need, but it can't go very far. So they're going to have to put charging stations all up and down enemy territory. These people are crazy, I'm telling you.
Okay, thank you.
They want to make electric tanks. And I said, no, thanks. And the other problem is the battery. You know, the battery is so big that you'd have to have the tank towing a truck behind it because the battery is right there. That's a good idea. Then they want to change our trucks to all electric. And I know a lot about trucks and a lot about the industry. And I have a lot of friends in the industry, big ones, the biggest guys, the biggest. They have hundreds of these things, big ones. And one of them said, you know, I've been doing this for 60 years. And every year my truck gets bigger, better. I build these big, I get these big trucks. They're incredible. Peterbilt, different manufacturers. And I buy a lot of them every year. Owns a lot of them. And one of the biggest, great guy. I won't use his name. I don't want to get him in trouble. But great guy. But they're all great guys, you know. They do a great job. He said, every year my trucks get better. They're bigger, they're better, they're stronger, they go faster. They're just incredible. And if they do the electric mandate on trucks, we will go back 60 years.
Wow.
Because a truck that's top of the line, big, with the big tanks for the diesel, it could go approximately 2,000 miles.
2,000 miles with diesel gasoline.
Electric truck could go approximately 300 miles. It's just
300 miles. Like, come on, duh. Who would want that? They couldn't even get away from the enemy with an electric tank. Come on. That's what happens when you allow delusional thinking to run rampant. Come on, y'all. Why wouldn't you vote for someone who's on the side of sanity?
It's like different. You talk about supply chain problems, right? So you'll have to stop 6 or 7 times in order to do what another truck is doing. And they don't care about
a battery.
that. The other day I left South Carolina and I visited a big boat factory with a fantastic company. They make hundreds of boats a year. They make beautiful speedboats. And they said that the government now is starting to impose electric mandates on them. They want the boat to be all electric. The problem is the batteries are so heavy that the boat can't float. And they're so big that almost the entirety of the boat would have to be electric. And he said, you know, you asked me a question, sir, that nobody's ever asked me. We're talking about this. They want us to go 2 miles an hour up to 90 miles out. I said, how far does the boat go? About 60 miles. You mean 2 miles? So in other words, these are speedboats. They want them to go 2 miles an hour because they want to protect the whales. Now, in 50 years, 1 whale was injured by a boat, but the windmills have driven hundreds of whales onto shore. So the windmills are okay, but a boat has to go 2 miles an hour.
Wow, come on, y'all. This makes sense. Why is it wrong to listen to this? He's the only one that's not in La La Land. Oops. I think I was about here.
So if you are on trial, if anybody's on trial, you have no evidence whatsoever.
I got that already.
These are political thugs. These are political thugs.
He's
These are
right.
bad people.
Political.
And we'll see what happens, because I think it's a disgrace of what's happened to a lot of people.
Yes.
It shouldn't be allowed to happen. You could take a look at Portland. You take a look at Minneapolis. You take a look at Seattle, where they practically took over half of the city, a big part of the city. People were killed.
Chicago.
And nothing happens to them, but they went after some people. And it's been very unfair, very two tiers of justice. So it's been a very interesting period, but we have to protect our people. We have to protect all of our people, and we have to protect everybody, both sides. But what's happened in this country is very sad. I will totally obliterate the deep state, stop the weaponization of our government, and overhaul the corrupt FBI.
Yes, we victims over here, y'all.
And DOJ. We're going to fix the DOJ. The DOJ is corrupt. The FBI is corrupt. Before I even arrived at the Oval Office, I will shortly, and right after we win, I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled. Many people are dying. You know, I did a town hall for CNN, and I did so good that they fired the head of CNN. I love that. They got the highest ratings in 11 years, and they fired the head. You're supposed to be the opposite. They're supposed to say, congratulations, but they fired him. But we talked about all of these things at that town hall. It was actually good. Caitlin Collins, I think she ruined her. Caitlin Collins, right? I think she ruined her career that night. That was not a great night for CNN, but they did get good ratings. That's the good news. But I'm able to say very strongly that I'm the only candidate who can make a promise that's a very important promise, the most important promise that we can have. I will prevent World War III. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And to stop the Marxist prosecutors who release rapists and murderers while persecuting Republicans, conservatives, and people of faith, I will direct a completely overhauled DOJ to investigate every radical DA and AG in America for their illegal, racist, in reverse enforcement of the law. As we restore the border, I will also use Title 42 to end the child trafficking crisis by returning all trafficked children to their families in their home and the countries from which they come. On day one, I will repeal.
Isn't it something how a lot of this stuff is directed at children? Directed at children. Right? Yeah, after this out, I should feel like I should break in and show it now. All right. Yeah.
Joe Biden's insane electric vehicle mandate.
Insane.
Now think of it. Think of it. Number one, I told you before, they're made all in China, all going to be made in China and other countries, none here. The United Auto Workers auto-endorsed Trump very.
I want to stop right there. I got to just play y'all this quick little short real quick about our country. Yeah. All right. This is a very quick little short. I just want you to hold the thought right there. Check this out.
Every night. Listen to this. This is completely on point. All the Mockingbird media, threat to our democracy. No, nut jobs. We're not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic. There's a difference.
A constitutional republic, not a democracy. The ideal of a democracy is universal equality. The ideal of a constitutional republic is individual liberty.
Bingo.
A democracy always degenerates into dictatorship, which promises.
Always degenerates into dictatorship. Right? We just saw the short where a whole auditorium full of parents, white parents, didn't want their children exposed to these pornographic books. Right? That's a dictatorship. They didn't have any say-so over that. They threw the speaker out who was speaking for the parents, the pastor, told him what he was saying was inappropriate when he was reading from the book that was part of the library at the school. All right.
Government guaranteed equality and security, but it delivers nothing but poverty and serfdom for the people it robs and rules.
From the people it robs and rules, poverty and uncertainty. Right? We see this big influx of people looting stores, just, as groups, and just going in there, just doing this and saying, that they have to eat. Like, right? Y'all, do you see this? This is the way of the Democrat.
Sound like democratic
America was
states?
founded as a constitutional republic to safeguard the liberties of the people against the tyranny of democracy or of one-man dictatorship. In this century, great strides have been made toward the goal of subverting our republic into a democracy.
Wow.
The foremost tactic of the subverters is subversion of language.
And that was back then. Imagine, see what it's like now?
By calling America a democracy until people thoughtlessly accept and use the term, the totalitarians have obscured the real meaning of our
Bingo. You hear it?
Right? Even the Bible say that's how Satan works. Right? Okay, so let's get back to this here. Y'all with me? I know it's probably going to be over some heads here, but he who have an ear, hear what the Spirit is saying. So everybody's not going to get it, but we need a lot of us to get it. And once you get it, get somebody else to get it. Otherwise, what do y'all think is going to happen to us? Our future.
Very quickly. For years and decades, they just automatically endorse a Democrat. But we've lost 50% of our automaking over the number of decades. Goes to Mexico, goes to China. Mexico, unbelievable. A lot of it goes to Canada. The USMCA has been unbelievable what we did with that, but a lot of it goes to Canada. What they've done is so bad, but now they want to do electric tanks. So we have our big Sherman tanks running in. They want to make them electric so they can be friendly, environmentally friendly, as you go in and blast it.
So with all the cars being made off in other countries and stuff, all those good, paying jobs and stuff that, people had are gone, bye-bye. And the people that had those jobs are the people that call themselves Democrats. Come on, y'all. Do you see? You need to change. The definition of insanity, they say, is doing the same thing and expecting different results. We can look at the results that you've been getting.
The hell out of a community that they want to blast out, but it's done in an environmentally friendly way. Don't think of it. Now, the only problem is the tank can't go very far. It doesn't have the kind of power they need, but it can't go very far. So they're going to have to put charging stations all up and down enemy territory.
Yeah.
These people are crazy, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
They want to make electric tanks. And I said, no, thanks. And the other problem is the battery. The battery is so big that you'd have to have the tank towing a truck behind it because the battery is right there.
This is comical.
That's a good idea. Then they want to change our trucks to all electric. And I know a lot about trucks and a lot about the industry. And I have a lot of friends in the industry, big ones, the biggest guys, they have hundreds of these things, big ones. And one of them said, I've been doing this for 60 years, and every year my truck gets bigger, better. I build these I get these big trucks. They're incredible. Peterbilt, different manufacturers. And I buy a lot of them every year. Owns a lot of them. And one of the biggest, great guy. I won't use his name. I don't want to get him in trouble. But great guy. But they're all great guys, and do a great job. He said, every year my trucks get better. They're bigger, they're better, they're stronger, they go faster, they're just incredible. And if they do the electric mandate on trucks, we will go back 60 years, because a truck that's top of the line, big, with the big tanks for the diesel, can go approximately 2,000 miles. An electric truck could go approximately 300 miles. It's a slight difference. You talk about supply chain problems, right? So you'll have to stop 6 or 7 times in order to do what another truck is doing. And they don't care about that. The other day I left South Carolina and I visited a big boat factory with a fantastic company. They make hundreds of boats a year. They make beautiful speedboats. And they said that the government now is starting to impose electric mandates on them. They want the boat to be all electric. The problem is the batteries are so heavy that the boat can't float. And they're so big that almost the entirety of the boat would have to be electric. And he said, you asked me a question, sir, that nobody's ever asked me. We're talking about this. They want us to go 2 miles an hour up to 90 miles out. I said, how far does the boat go? About 60 miles. You mean 2 miles? So in other words, these are speedboats. They want them to go 2 miles an hour because they want to protect the whales. Now, in 50 years, 1 whale was injured by a boat, but the windmills have driven hundreds of whales onto shore. So the windmills are okay, but a boat has to go 2 miles an hour. But I said to him, I said, let me ask you this question. He said he was very honored by this, because smart guy. I said, what happens if your boat sinks and you're sitting on top of this massive battery? Do you get electrocuted? He said, nobody's ever asked me that question before. I was honored, because he's been asked every question, Ziggy. He's been asked every question. He said, nobody's ever asked me that. But that's our uncle from MIT. We have an uncle, a brilliant uncle, from a great professor for, I think, the longest term ever from MIT. That's where we get that. I said, so what happens? You get electrocuted if the boat's going down and you're like a little bit off the battery. Do you get electrocuted? So am I better off sitting on top of that battery, you're going down, or am I better off jumping about 10 yards over there, but there's a shark over there? And if I had my choice between a shark and electrocution, I will take electrocution every single day. Do we agree? But they want to change boats to all electric, and they don't work. They don't work. And they don't want to hear it. It's like they don't work. In California, they have brownouts and blackouts every single day, and yet they want to go all electric cars.
The same way the parents were saying, we don't want our children learning this stuff. They're not listening.
They want to have all electric cars, and yet they don't have enough electric to take care of the state, which is, by the way, if he ever runs, we'll have so much fun, because that is the worst run state. It's just unbelievable. I watched him being interviewed, and he said, oh, no, California, we're doing great. He's going, great. It's been unbelievable. The place is getting killed. People are leaving. A beautiful place, though, I will say that. I don't know if he's going to run. And I'm going to be nice to him, because he's always been very nice to me. But if we run, we're not going to be nice to him, because we're going to have to see if Joe Biden gets to the starting gate. I don't know if he's going to get to the starting gate. I don't know that he will. I think he might not. I hope he does, because I think it would be a wonderful thing for America to have a Republican president like me.
Yes.
But we're going to see. Under a Trump administration,
yes,
gasoline-fired engines will be allowed, but child sexual mutilation will not be allowed. We're not going to allow people to sexually mutilate your child.
Thank you.
On day one, I will sign a new executive order to cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, transgender insanity, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content to our beautiful children. It's crazy.
Yes.
I will not give 1 penny to any school that has a vaccine mandate or mask mandate.
Right? And this is bad. Come on, y'all. Come on.
And I will do something that's amazing to me that I even have to mention this. I will keep men out of women's sports, 100%.
Wow. And the best y'all got is to say Trump's a racist? Come on. Stop being so emotional. and heard it. Look at what the people do, not what any of these accusations and stuff.
Immediately. First day. First day. Did you see the weightlifting record that was broken by 150 pounds? Did you see that the other day? They have a young woman up, and she was a fantastic, powerful, powerful woman. And she held records, and she wanted to beat this record 18. And they took a quarter of an ounce, and they put it on one side. And they took a quarter of an ounce, and they put it on the other side of it. Barbell, thick steel, got to lift it up. And her parents were sitting right where Lee is, right there, Lee. Lee is a big fan of Barack Hussein Obama. I'm only kidding. The opposite. But they're sitting right where Lee is, the great Lee. And they're so proud of their daughter. Look at her. She's so strong. She's so great. And she got down and she was going to do it for mom and dad and the whole country. And she gets it up. I have a problem. I have a wife who she hates this routine. She said it's so unpresidential. But I say people love it. I said, darling, you're a great first lady, but people love this routine.
Give it to us.
She said, couldn't you do it with less enthusiasm? And I understand what she's saying. But this isn't, I'm very presidential. When we did State of the Union addresses, I did very well. I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't do this routine at a State of the Union address. So I'll do it just a quickie for you, okay, if you don't mind.
Give it to us.
So she gets down, she goes up, oh. And her parents are just so proud of her. And she's getting ready to make the last move. And she can't do it. And she drops it. And then a guy who transitioned comes over. Have you lifted before? They ask. No, not really. But I'd love to give it a try.
Mm.
And he goes, all right. And takes the weight that she couldn't lift. Boom.
Wow.
Then they had 10 pounds. They had another 10. They had another 10. They keep adding the damn weight. She couldn't do a quarter of an ounce on each side. And I believe he broke the record by approximately 150 pounds.
Wow.
I think that's pretty tough. It's going to be hard to beat that record. Do you agree with that, Gina?
Yeah.
And then the worst of all was the great swimmer, great athlete, great champion, brilliant swimmer. She's ready to start. She looks left, because they're all like this very, very incredible crowd of people like golfers. They grow up at 6 years old, at 7 years old, at 8 years. They're all playing the same guys because it's the pyramid, right? And those are all the best players. They play them from the time they're 6 years old.
Yeah.
And she swam against all these people, knew them well because she was a champion swimmer. And she was swimming. She looks over to the left, and there's 6 girls that she knew very well, all top girls. And then she looks over to the right. There's 6 girls and 1 very big girl. She looks up. And he looked like Wilt Chamberlain on steroids, okay, this guy. She looks, that's the biggest human being I think I've ever seen. And she wanted to break the record, and she was equipped to break the record. But what happened is she suffered a terrible, terrible injury. You know what the injury was? Windburn. He went by her so fast that she suffered massive windburn. The wind was so strong as she went by her. Then he went in, he had lunch for a little while, and then the girls finished, and that was the end of the race. He broke a record by many, I think 18 seconds or something like that. This is crazy. This is so demeaning to women. It's so horrible. And a lot of the young women that are being affected don't want to talk about it. They're all afraid to talk, right? They're all afraid to talk. But just as I did 4 years ago, I will fully uphold the Second Amendment. Our Second Amendment is under siege.
Out there, we can do something different.
We will restore free speech, and I will secure our elections.
All right. Okay, and then, yeah, that's cool. We can do that. We do something different. Let's go off task here with this. Uh-oh. Wait. All right. I got something here. Show us that we did have a lot of power in how during certain times All right, this here's my The Secret of Selling the Negro. This documentary came out in 1954, right? You can see the strength in the numbers, strength in unity. Says, right, this is the Washington, says the average Negro wage earner today gets 4 times more money than a few years ago. The Secretary of Commerce of the United States said today his income has increased more rapidly than the income of all other Americans. The Commerce Secretary said, we pointed out the family's income of the Negro is today at a record high. 1954. Before the internet. This was a transmitter type of something before fax machines and stuff too. But anyway, that's how they got the news. Once the government found out that they was getting all this money, now they about to tell the secret of selling the Negro, right? And if we look at today's statistics, we know that the Negro spends a good portion of their earnings. Like, we are consumers.
We'll move that over there. You got the level on that, Joe?
Hey, how's this video coming through?
Are the lights hot enough?
Don't forget to dial in close. All right, be sure and stay clear of number 2 camera, and all set. Stand by.
Let's see here. Johnson. Oh. Look at here. All right. Presented with the cooperation of the Johnson Publishing Company. Wow. Publishers of Ebony, Tan, Jet, and Hue. Wow. Wow.
Really big.
Sorry.
Hello, I'm Bob Trout. I've got a story here that I think is big, really big, because it's bound to have a terrific impact on business. I'm talking about a new market.
A terrific impact on business. Wow. They have to get them their money.
A big new market. Millions upon millions of new prospects with $15 billion to spend.
$15 billion to spend. 1954. Investigate that.
That's right. I said 15 billion.
Wow.
That's a lot of money, isn't it?
It is.
The surprising thing is that it's a fresh market, still full of opportunities. It grew up so fast, got so big in a hurry, that few of us realize its scope. Now, these days, nobody's likely to pass up chances to sell. And yet right here in our own front yard, there's a neglected market.
There's money waiting to be spent. To get the story of this market, to be able to tell you the secret of selling the Negro, we did a lot of digging. We talked to leading businessmen, to customers, and to salesmen. We went to Washington, D.C. We set up cameras and other key points around the nation. And out of this all, there emerged a story, the story of a new market.
A new.
Yes, this is the market we're talking about, the new Negro family. Their name is Wells or Wilson, Smith or Brown or Alexander or Breen. They live in Chicago, in Atlanta, or New York.
Wow. So, you know, the group of people in Chicago, the Democrats out there that was complaining about their mayor who let in all those immigrants. Look, this was them, you know, 2 generations ago. You know, because, you know, they're supposedly a good neighborhood, a good area of, you know, hardworking people and stuff. So look here, Detroit.
New York, in Detroit, St. Louis, Los Angeles, any one of 1,000 cities and towns. All over the country, families such as this are enjoying new prosperity. They have new interests,
new prosperity. New prosperity.
New standards of living, a buying power they've never enjoyed before. There are good prospects for practically all types of goods and services. All too often, though, they're overlooked prospects. Why? Because of some good, valid reason? No. They're overlooked because of mistaken ideas, because of out-of-date ideas about how the Negro lives and how he buys. The truth of the matter is that the Negro lives pretty much the same as other folks. He buys pretty much the same way, too. But just the same, a lot of old doubts and opinions keep cropping up over and over again.
Oh, I don't like to do business with Negroes. They're drifters. You can't keep track of them.
Yes, although a lot of people think that way, the truth is that 1 out of every 3 Negro families living in cities today owns its own home.
Wow, 1 out of 3. 1 out of 3. That's a lot. I wonder what the statistics are for today.
That figure comes directly from the United States Bureau of Census.
Wow.
Maybe so, but Negroes are poor credit risks.
Not more of a credit risk than any other group. Actually, the Negro homebuyer meets his payments faithfully, often more faithfully than other race groups in the same economic level. That's the information we got from people who ought to know, the National Association of Real Estate Boards.
Well, maybe, but I've always heard that Negroes buy shoddy, poor quality merchandise.
No, it's just the other way around. According to leading researchers, in proportion to population and income, Negroes buy more quality products than any other comparable United States group. You see, there are a lot of confused notions about the Negro customer. But when you dig right down and find out about them, they just don't hold water. Negroes own homes. They meet their payments faithfully. They buy good brands of merchandise. So why let a lot of old-fashioned ideas hurt profits? Take a look at the real facts. Here in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, some amazing facts and figures about this new market have...
What happened to the Negro family? Like, they look amazing. They look like, you know, a TV, you know, from the 50s type of, you know, family. There was a 2-parent and, you know, they all looked happy and, you know, they had things like, it's not the picture that we have to...
been uncovered. For a first-hand report, we would like to take you directly to the United States Department of Commerce to hear this story from the Secretary of Commerce himself. Here is the Honorable Sinclair Weeks, the Secretary of Commerce of the United States.
In the Department of Commerce, we are constantly alert to trends that mean a healthier national economy, better business for the nation as a whole. Recently, we have been interested in a rising young market one that represents a huge potential for goods and services.
Huge.
I'm referring to the new Negro market.
The new Negro.
The tremendous buying power of this group is backed, of course, by an increased earning power. The average Negro family's income is at a record high. In fact, since 1939, it has increased more than the average income of all other Americans. Just take a look at a few figures. An official Department of Commerce report shows that at least 1/3 of the Negroes living in cities earn from $2,000 to $5,000 a year. Today, the average Negro wage earner brings home a paycheck 4 times larger than the one he collected in 1939. As a whole, the Negro market has a total income of about $15 billion every year. And after taxes, Negro families still have many billions of dollars to spend. Here is a...
Wow. Okay, so he said that it started in 1939, right? So that's actually the year that the Great Depression ended. The Great Depression was from 1929 to 1939, right? This is when, and probably why, Black people started to vote Democrat, because before then, Black people were Republicans. I'm gonna pull it back just a little bit. Listen up. He said the new Negro market. So this is us newly getting money, or being in a position where we got money.
Just take a look at a few figures. An official Department of Commerce report shows that at least 1/3 of the Negroes living in cities earn from $2,000 to $5,000 a year. Today, the average Negro wage earner brings home a paycheck 4 times larger than the one he collected in 1939. As a whole, the Negro market has a total income of about $15 billion every year. And after taxes, Negro families still have many billions of dollars to spend. Here is a buying power that cannot help but have a tremendous effect on our national economy and on business prosperity in general. When these dollars are spent for a wide range of goods, services, and employment, business everywhere is bound to feel the impact.
This new buying power has resulted in a class Negro market, a profitable, above-average income group of consumers. For example, the nation's largest newspaper and magazine research organization, Daniel Starch and Staff, reports these significant figures. More than 51% of the readers of Ebony magazine have a record player in their homes. Almost 64% own a television set.
Wow, this was in 1954.
And almost 78% enjoy the convenience of an electric refrigerator.
Wow.
It is also a fact and this is from the magazine The Food Field Reporter, that Negroes spend almost $3 billion a year for food alone. Per capita, they buy more cosmetics, drugs, and toiletries than anyone else in the country. And their children are better educated, too.
Their children are better educated, too. Do y'all see that they targeted us? And come on.
Because since 1930, enrollment in Negro colleges is up 2,500%.
Wow.
But really, to recognize the importance of this class Negro market, we must realize that something has been happening economically in our country. People are on the move. The population is shifting. The makeup of metropolitan populations today is different than it was just a few short years ago. To give you a better idea of what we mean, we set up several cameras, candid cameras, in a number of shopping locations. Take a look at these shoppers.
Wow.
Notice what a large...
It's black and white people mixed up in there. walking close. I don't see them being no whites only side. Right? You see what I'm saying? Yeah, this was the reality. These are candid cameras back in 1954. Look at the people out there. These black people are walking freely among these white people.
Candid cameras in a number of shopping locations.
Look there.
Take a look at these shoppers.
All right. There go a black woman there. It's not many. There go one right there. But look, they walking close to these white people. But they're telling us that, you know, this was race, that back then it was so racist. Look at y'all, they right up in there.
Notice what a large proportion of them are Negroes. What's the reason? It's simply this. Negro families are moving into the cities where there are more job opportunities. Here they find occupations with more prestige and security, jobs that pay more money. As a result, Negro families today often make up the largest part of Central City consumer prospects.
Wow, the largest consumer prospects. Dang.
A shoe store in Chicago's Loop, for example, reports that more than 50% of its customers are Negroes. In another case...
Wait a minute, did the Negroes go through the door before the white people? What? Let me go back here a little bit. That black woman she walked right on through.
As a result, Negro families today often make up the largest part of Central City consumer prospects. A shoe store in Chicago...
Look here. Excuse me. You see, y'all, come on, this is 1954.
Chicago's Loop, for example, reports that more than 50% of its customers are Negroes. In another case, a drugstore located at a transfer point in a non-Negro neighborhood finds that its Negro customers total 25%.
Wow, 25% from the Negro customers. Look there, black man walking around. Look there, white guy there.
The trend is plain. The new Negro families today are moving into more populated areas, to the cities, where there are more stores, more buying opportunities. Since 1940, in San Francisco alone, the Negro market has increased by 89%. In Chicago, by 81%. Houston, Texas, 45%. Philadelphia, 50%. The impact of this new buying force is so tremendous that actually in 14 major United States markets, a product cannot be number one without Negro support.
Wow. They said a product cannot be number one without Negro support. So, you know, we were trendsetters, y'all. We was doing, come on.
A product must have the backing of this big new buying power.
A product must have the backing
To be a leader in the field. What?
I'm just saying, we still have this same power. We just don't recognize it. We're just, you know, sleeping on it because we're getting caught up in in delusional thinking. When we focus on racism and all this stuff, and we keep just, that's all we focus on. Oh, this is so-and-so's a racist. Look at all the stuff we're leaving behind. Look here. They were doing stuff. They were setting trends here. And products could not be number one without our support. It's strength in numbers. It's strength in unity. So we need to start rejecting some of the propaganda that they just putting out there. It's not helping.
What do you have to sell? Chewing gum or cars?
Wow.
Toothpaste or transportation?
A lot of power.
Whatever it is, here are millions of prospects. And these prospects are everywhere. Negro customers can no longer be pigeonholed. They cannot be classified as prospects who trade only in certain stores, certain neighborhoods. Today, Negroes shop downtown. They shop in supermarkets. They shop in small neighborhood stores. They'll buy from anyone who wants to sell to them. But we all know that before you can sell to customers, you've got to get to know them. You must understand something about them. What do the Negro customers buy? Why do they buy? How do you sell to them? Let's find out. Let's hear the opinion of men who have spent a lifetime studying the buying habits of customers the world over. Here is what sales psychologists have to say about selling to the Negro.
The secret of selling to the Negro is expressed in one word. That word is recognition. Now, there's nothing unusual about that. People want to be recognized. They need recognition. That's basic in all of us. But perhaps because he's had so little of it, the Negro needs even more. He needs to feel important and appreciated. This need is a very real and important one. It shows up even in many of the Negro's shopping habits. Anyone who sells or wants to sell to the Negro customer should know about some of these habits. 3 habits in particular play a big part in every sales.
This because we need to know these triggers so we could, stop being led and herded.
Transaction. To begin with, most Negroes buy by brand. They ask for products by name.
I'm going to need them Air Jordans.
They're quick to turn down off brands. Do you wonder why?
No,
well, listen to what this customer is thinking.
That last hat I bought just didn't hold up at all.
You see, for a long time, the Negro has been sold a lot of shoddy, second-class merchandise. So now he asks for name brands in order to make sure he gets his money's worth. Buying by brand, that's the first important Negro buying habit.
Wow.
Now for the second. The Negro buys good quality merchandise. Symbols of quality and prestige are very important to the Negro customer.
Symbols.
This woman, for example, is buying fine crystalware. But she is also buying the admiration and approval of her friends and relatives.
Wow.
Listen to her thoughts.
Keeping up with the Joneses.
Isn't it beautiful? I can hardly wait to show it to Sally and Joan.
It's a well-known fact that many Negro customers are influenced by the opinions of others.
Wow.
What their friends may think of a certain item often decides whether or not the sale is made. So remember, the Negro buys quality merchandise. That's the second important point. And here's the third thing to remember when selling to a Negro customer. When he specifically asks for one thing, don't try to sell him something else. Don't try to switch him at the point of sale. If you do, he'll probably react something like this.
Doesn't he think I've got the money to pay for it?
There's a reason for this reaction. Again, because he's had experience with cheap merchandise, the Negro resents being offered a substitute. He wants to be sold on quality, not price. The Negro buys by brand, he buys quality, and he doesn't like to be switched at point of sale. These are the keys to selling the Negro customer. Another point. The Negro family does things together.
Wow.
As a group.
The Negro family does things together as a group. When did we get away from that? Wow.
The family works as a unit. It lives.
The family works as a unit.
As a unit, and it buys as a unit.
Oh.
When you sell to one member, you many times sell to all. It's also true that many places of entertainment are still closed to the Negro. So he spends more of his money for the things that are available to him, often for items that are considered luxuries. Another.
All right, so then, yeah.
The trait of the Negro market is the fact that it is a pre-sold market.
Wow.
We know that the Negro buys by brand, and he buys the brands that he knows something about. Where does the Negro buyer get this information? We know that Negro customers are turning more and more to the publications that are tailored specifically to their needs, that give them the news and the information that they want to read about. Many leading businessmen and companies already know this. That's why so many of them are taking this direct, sure route of reaching the Negro customer.
Wow.
The vice president of advertising of the Bruin Watch Company, for example, says this.
In many important cities throughout the United States, Negroes are important customers of the credit jeweler. Therefore, it seemed that Ebony magazine would be a very important advertising medium for us. We would say it was very well received.
Ebony sick the sharks on us. They sick them on us. Yeah, come on and advertise to them.
And from our viewpoint, a very successful campaign.
From the Remington Rand Company comes this statement.
Our records show that advertising in Ebony has been effective in many ways. As all good advertising should, it has built a terrific amount of goodwill and has brought a volume of sales and sales inquiries.
A representative of the Alaga Syrup Company makes this statement.
Because of Alaga's regard for the influence of Ebony in the Negro market, advertising space was doubled. Alaga's long experience in selling to Negroes now takes the most direct route to its...
All right, so I just wanted to show y'all, I wanted to show y'all the dates and how things was happening, and two, how and what changed that. Like, what a bright, a bright outcome, a bright outlook that was. Like, right, family together, everybody working together, and just harmony and unity. Like, what happened to, where'd that go? What happened? What happened? I'm curious. I would like to see if there's some statistics on when the Black people switch sides, what caused it. All right. So in the meantime, throw out some quick little President Trump shorts for y'all. Want me to leave this alone. All right. I did that already. So we have to keep putting the word out there like that. So we, keep our strength in numbers up, right? To make sure that we get President Trump in here. So let's see here. Here's something. Wow. Yeah. And see how they're trying to switch it around? He's highlighting that they are smart enough to take advantage of our incompetence. They called him the front runner. Statements. Statements. Wow. 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 For pointing out that they should have been aware, like, what's wrong with telling the truth? He's just saying that. He doesn't even believe what he's saying. How is that attacking by pointing out that they're being incompetent too? Wow. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. But see how they're trying to switch the words up so people can get distracted and go, oh, look, he's a racist. Oh, he's insensitive. Mm. All right, let's see if there's anything happening in today's news for this whole Israel thing. Oops. All right, so I just wanted to come out really quick to continue to show my support for President Donald Trump, who is going to get us out, get us out, get us out, get us out. So it's why it's super important that we do the strength in numbers and see this thing through. And I'm going to continue to come back and lift up the voice and all that good stuff too. But I will be giving you some updates on how all this stuff is coming along here too, like polling places where you got to get out and stuff before, so we can vote for in this caucus to make sure that we're showing our numbers. Our numbers got to be up there so it'll be obvious and true when we win this thing in 2024. So again, making America great again and dig, baby, dig is how we're gonna get out of this. So thank y'all so much for considering to slow down and think, critically think about it. So, and we'll be putting more and more pieces of the puzzle together. So I just thought it was significant that they knew that in 1939 was when this thing started to change up for the Negro market, and that in 1954 how well we were doing quite well, and how what was going on then, what was going on then. We saw that the end of the Great Depression was actually 1939 too. And I'm sure lots of handouts and stuff was probably being given out. Anyway, I'm start to continue to put these points together so I could lovingly go back and nudge us so we can look at the facts and then make a rational decision about who we want to give our votes to. All right, so thank y'all again.